So this movie was released in December, and nowadays when it comes to movies in theaters, they are released like really quickly onto streaming services. So this one, it took like roughly 6 months to for you to even be able to purchase it, which I thought was pretty wild. But in the meantime, like in between, Godzilla, what was it? Godzilla X Kong. What's it called? Yeah,
The
the new.
second one, right?
No, I think it's the third or fourth one in the franchise. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it's the second one because I know Godzilla versus Kong, they took on Mecha Godzilla.
So yeah, so
Because I
it's
watched that one. There was another one that came out, which I think they fight a pink King Kong. I don't know. I haven't watched the movie, but I know by the trailer,
yeah, so
there's a lot of
it
there's a
is
lot more
a
pink in the color scheme than there was in the previous Godzilla movies.
yes, so it is a franchise. So we have Godzilla, obviously the main one, the one where I enjoyed it, but um, we were coming off of Breaking Bad, so I wanted to watch it because of Bryan Cranston, and he was like promoted in the film, and he died in the first like 20 minutes.
Yeah, they Metal Gear Solid 2'd us.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, so we have that one. Then we have Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and then we have
Yeah, King of the
Kong.
Monsters.
We have Kong Skull Island. That's also
I
connected
like
with
that one.
that. I don't think
Hmm.
I watched that one. And then we had Godzilla versus Kong, which is the one that you're talking about, I think,
Yeah.
with Mecha Godzilla. Is that the one?
Hmm.
And then
Yeah, that's the robot Godzilla. I think that's Mecha Godzilla. I could be wrong, but I'm
yeah,
pretty sure
yeah,
it's Mecha
yeah.
Godzilla.
So I did watch that one, and it was
Mega Godzilla, a
yeah,
Megazord.
and it was fun as hell. And then of course we have this one, which is Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. So they came out around the same time, and there is this conspiracy theory online that I saw that they were keeping Godzilla minus one, I guess, on the shelf, so that it could give this movie like time to thrive, time to breathe, and it looks like it did its job considering the box office as of June 9th. It had $570 million like worldwide, which is like nothing to scoff at considering it had a budget of 135 million, so it made its money back and then some.
Okay,
So
that's good.
do you think it has any merit at all?
Okay. I think it might have some merit. It might also have to do with the fact that maybe it's a Japanese film, so maybe getting contracts out is a little on the slower side for
Yeah, that
distribution.
is
If I had to take a
another
guess, I don't know, maybe.
yeah, that is
But
another
it
good
it does,
possibility for sure.
yeah. Or it's also it might be feasible that that could be the thing because I know like there's a lot of gatekeeping in Hollywood,
For
and
sure.
like it's kind of like you rub my back, I rub yours. So it's like, hey, this new Godzilla is kind of like taking a little bit of thunder. So can you just? I know there's a lot of those dealings that goes on. That it's just kind of I could see it happening where they're like, if Godzilla minus one were to were to be available for purchase, rent, or on streaming,
Yeah.
Godzilla X Kong could have been like a forgotten movie. No one would have noticed.
Yeah, especially considering that Godzilla minus one, it did have a budget of $12 million. So compare that to the one
Yeah.
hundred and $35 million budget, and then
Hmm.
it did gross to $115 million worldwide as well.
Godzilla
So
minus one.
yeah, so it was
Hmm.
a success in the box office. So who knows if it would be shelved just because it did make a lot of money as well. But
Well,
they
it's
had
funny you bring up the budget because despite its budget, I'm not sure what you think, but like despite its budget, Godzilla looked better
I think
than
so
I
too.
think
It looked great.
in the Hollywood version
Yeah, I mean,
of
like the
Godzilla.
blast in like the blast of the city, the nuclear blast.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely looked great.
Which you do have to credit the American God version of Godzilla because that thing where it kind of glows from the tail to the head and he finally does the atomic blast.
Hmm.
I think I first saw that in the Godzilla where Bryan Cranston was in, or halfway in, or 20% in.
Yeah,
which I
same.
understand you.
But also on the other hand, that is most of my history with the franchise anyway, which is
Hmm.
like the more modern Godzilla movies. I
Yeah,
haven't seen any of the old school ones, so
there's also yeah the old school. I think there's a baby Godzilla where Godzilla steps on his tail and it shoots the atomic blast that way, something like that. Just I vaguely remember the old school ones because I saw them on TV. But it's interesting about the budget because do you think like because it kind of brings a question: does a bigger budget is it a necessity for better CGI? Because Godzilla minus one technically did it better. Hmm.
yeah, it just looked way better. Maybe had I know that the budget also has a lot to do with the cast as well, and a lot. They just try to do more with Godzilla X Kong, I guess.
Hmm.
But for its budget, Godzilla minus one again it looked great. I don't think it was held
Yeah,
back
because
by
I
its
think that was
budget
the big
whatsoever.
story.
Hmm.
Because I didn't watch the movie, and I know that was the big story that it had such a low budget yet looked awesome. And I know I didn't get deep dive into it because I didn't watch the movie and I didn't want to get spoiled. But
Right.
yeah, that's usually kind of like you hear about these big budget Hollywood movies and you think the CGI is gonna be awesome, but I
Yeah.
think
No.
Godzilla minus one kind of shows you like the creativity. If you take a more creative approach, it could end up looking just as good or even better than a high budget film.
Yeah.
Because I think there's another one, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Because that technically had a smaller budget too, and that visually looked really awesome as well.
Yeah. And it came out around the same time as Doctor Strange did, and
Yeah, which was
comparing the
each, yeah. Or do you think that larger budget just attributes to more so like you just pass it off to so many different studios or people in charge of
maybe that. I
CGI, which
mean,
just kind of
because
creates an inconsistency?
yeah, because the bigger films definitely have the bigger like teams, so
Hmm.
more hands, more mouths to feed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows where like that money comes from? Because like it's definitely you can tell that the VFX have taken a hit as of late. Like Marvel films in particular. There's like reports of how uh, they try to speed up the process, so they're not even trying to make quality. They're just trying to like, or at least before, like allegedly trying to like poop out films. So
Yeah, poop out is the right term because it's just like, what is all this money for exactly? How much funds are you guys embezzling here?
yeah, I know. Like they should like release like, oh yeah, we spent X amount like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
There probably is, but yeah, like back on the Godzilla versus Kong. So I think that it does probably have like I do think it has like some merit just because given the choice, like if you just jump on Rotten Tomatoes, let's say you're one of those people that like, all right, cool. I have a certain budget. I can only watch one film. There's two Godzilla films on the market. I usually like do like research. All right, let's see what they're saying and blah blah blah. Immediately, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire has a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes versus the
Hmm.
98 of Godzilla minus one. So obviously you're going to choose minus one, which is the one that had a lower budget and stuff like that. So I can see the studios definitely, ironically, paying more money to like just hold off. But who knows? I doubt we'll ever know the real truth of why it took so long, especially in an age where films are being released at the same time as they're in theaters and stuff. But this one, for whatever reason, it didn't. And not only that, it was also shadow dropped on Netflix. They never like said like, oh yeah, coming out this month or in 2 weeks or blah blah blah. Like no, it was like one day to the next. Oh yeah, by the way, you can watch this now. So it wasn't
Hmm.
promoted, and even then, it made gigantic numbers for the streaming service.
Like I said, that theory is plausible that, they might try to suppress this movie too in order to save the success of
Yeah.
another movie. That's also another plausible. But you're right, we'll never know.
Yeah, no,
We'll never
and it's
know.
crazy in a day and age where like similar films always, or almost always, like in theaters at the same time. Like I remember,
Hmm.
and this is like
Dune
aging. Like,
2.
hmm? Dune
Dune
two with
2
what?
is already out.
Oh
Dune
no,
2 is
yeah,
already
see,
out on
yeah,
HBO Max
exactly.
or
That's
Max,
exactly my point.
whatever it's
Yeah,
called. Yeah.
yeah, Max. stupid name, but that's
Mhm.
whatever. Neither here nor there. But yeah, yeah, like there's usually films like with the same plot essentially, but different
Mhm.
skin. Different characters, different movie, different name and whatnot, and they'll hit theaters all day. But I guess this one is way too close to home, so they had to like shelve it. But again, yeah, that's just us like spitballing here. We still end up winning because, like, again, I like that franchise, the Godzilla versus Kong or Godzilla and Kong or whatever, that universe. It's fun, for what it is. You go in there expecting a popcorn flick, and that's what you get. I didn't have any expectations for -1, and again, it came out being one of my favorite films of last year, and it's such a
Mhm.
good watch. But yeah, yeah, because I forgot. Did you watch the Legendary franchise?
I do, to be honest. I think the Hollywood version gets a little bit of bad press. I think the only thing well, I haven't watched the second Godzilla Kong. I watched the first one where they
Yeah.
fight Mecha God. We have to figure this out. But
No, no, I think
Mecha
it is Mecha
Godzilla,
Godzilla.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mecha Godzilla. I did like that movie. I did like Kong Skull Island. I didn't like King of the Monsters. I liked the first movie out of those. So I think overall it's pretty solid. It's a pretty solid
Hmm.
series, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Like I said, I did enjoy Bryan Cranston for the small amount he was in the first one.
Yeah.
But I'm also comparing this to, I'm not sure there was another Godzilla, like a Hollywood Godzilla in the 90s.
Oh yeah, with Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, that one was horrible. So
That was
compared to,
terrible.
yeah, 'cause what I compared to that one, Godzilla was like the best movie compared to that one. So I really enjoyed the first one, and then after when I watched King of the Monsters, I thought there was not enough Godzilla. It was a lot more boring. Is that the word I'm looking for? But yeah, like I did like, to sum it all up, I do like the Legendary
Yeah.
franchise.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
same. Yeah, we can have both, but like
Yeah,
in a
we
world
can definitely
where,
have both. Well,
yeah.
it's interesting. It's also it's nice. It's a cool compare and contrast about to the two, because in the Legendary series, Godzilla is more like a hero figure.
Yeah.
Like Godzilla saves humans from these other kaijus that
Hmm.
are supposedly bad. But in this Japanese version, he's more of the enemy. He destroys cities, and he's like it's a creature that's meant to be taken
Yeah,
down.
and
So
he's
it's cool how,
terrifying.
like, yeah, so it's cool how two different cultures can view the same creature differently. So I think that compare and contrast is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because like here in America, yeah, they definitely had to make him the good guy. You're
Yeah.
rooting for Godzilla, and you still. It's funny
Yeah.
because you have those hype moments, but those hype
Hmm.
moments are coming from Godzilla and Kong, just like
Yeah.
punching Mecha Godzilla and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I love that. And then Godzilla took the supercharged axe and he took Mecha Godzilla's. I think
Yeah.
he chopped his head. Well, he killed him somehow. But it's those hype moments are pretty cool.